You know, well, you can't spend the night there. Nobody's ever been able to spend the night. You know, managed to make it through the night without being scared away.
What are we gonna do today?
I don't know.
Tell me.
Look for ghosts.
Where at?
Here, is that on?
No.
Let me see.
It's not on. What time is it?
Time for you to get a watch.
Did you just look at the clock and realize you're not ready?
It's 2:54. I have 6 minutes.
And now we're about to start the journey, hopefully.
Yeah.
We're waiting on a girl, which is a new concept.
She doesn't know we're going to sleep outside, right? She's not like blow drying her hair.
No, she's not blow drying her hair. Could you introduce us to your pet over here?
This is Jackson Brown. Jack's my dog.
Hey, Jack.
And Jack's blind. Jack, come here. Jackson, come. I'm of the camp that thinks we're gonna see a bunch of locals, and probably get in a fight.
No, I think that I don't really anticipate any problems.
You don't?
No. My biggest worry is the high school girls.
Since I'm not 18, is it okay if I'm smoking on camera?
I think it would be interesting if there were completely unexplainable actions that happen. My life is very logically based.
I'm not really keen on meeting the devil if he's stomping around.
I'm nervous. I'm excited. You know, I've got a lot of different feelings going on.
You know, but we're basically going to do everything we can to figure out, is there anything going on there at all?
You head west off the roundabout on Highway 64, and you go, I think you go about 16 miles, at which point you run into Highway 421. If you kept on going across 421, you'd hit Siler City. So you want to go 421 south. I guess about 7 miles down is Harper's Crossroads. You might want to stop at this little gas station. You talk to somebody there.
I'd plow a mule all day and then walk up here and get me a 3 copper cola and a 2-cent bar of candy. They don't have it like that anymore. Everybody's always wondered why that circle was like that, why the grass would grow inside the circle and didn't grow out anywhere else in North Carolina. I don't know.
Some friends went up one evening and made a picture there, and the picture is completely dark in the center of that circle. You can barely make out the images of the people standing around. Some people think it might have been an Indian campground, or at one time maybe salt mines, for some reason that grass never grew in it.
As you were a kid, somebody mentions the Devil's Tramping Ground and say always be gone before it gets dark, because after dark's when the devil comes out.
Yeah.
And you just always took it as you know, that's just what you were always told when you were a child. A lot of times if you knew somebody was up there from way off or whatever, you would, as teenagers, we would slip up there and walk the last ways and ease up through the woods, you know, just give them something to remember, scare them a little bit.
You gonna go up and take a picture of it?
I'm gonna try to spend the night there one night. I think.
What night you gonna be up there?
Yeah, let us know.
I don't know if I can tell you guys.
Just let us know.
Yeah.
Your first impression outside there?
First impression. Sandy trail. It looks a little smaller than I thought it would be, actually. Yeah, it's got a lot more grass than I thought. It's like not as bare as I expected. You know, if you look, there's a grass line that runs, you know, up to here. And you do have this little intruder here that's within that. It's inside. But, I mean, there's even stuff up here. But otherwise, people have been using it, so that really negates whether it's a natural or whether it's just being trampled.
I mean, my impression right now is people thinking they might see the devil, so they come out here and take acid and see something. I mean,
Well, it's been used a lot, and we can't tell whether they're wearing the grass, keeping it away, or...
Can we get stuff set up?
Yep. Let's do that.
Well, we still have some light.
Let our fire go out, and all of a sudden it just poof, and it was like really, really high. So I went and put it out, and the same thing happened again. And then in the path, the long dark path over there, you could hear chains coming up the path, and you could look down that path and you could see something going back and forth and hear the chains, but I'd shine my spotlight and it would be nothing there. And then other times I've heard it sounded like women screaming back in the woods, and you know, just stuff like that.
Definitely interesting place, and if you guys will stay here tonight, if you'll get quiet and get the lights out, and around midnight or 1 o'clock, you'll probably hear something strange. You'll hear some strange things anyway.
Well, I was standing over here next to the tent, and I could have sworn I heard a phone ring, like a silly polyphonic ringtone of someone saying, "Hey, answer your phone." And she was digging in her tent, and I laughed. I said, "Hey, is that your phone ringing?" And she said, "What?" And nothing. I'm the only one who heard it, apparently. And upon further investigation on their part, they actually had a little conversation with a ghost. I had this really weird sensation in my stomach of like, I don't know if I was shocked that no one else heard that, because I absolutely heard it, or what, but it was very unsettling.
Yeah. It's a reality check, isn't it? That things may be going on that you don't even think are really out there, but they may be going on.
Because they can suck the energy out of your batteries. I've had my camera before in one night, within an hour and a half, I've had to replace like 4 sets of batteries.
Jeez.
Usually sometimes they're mostly near the action, like where people are, so probably camp might be even better than being out here. Let's see if we get anything. Let's do some EVP work. EVP means electronic voice phenomena. God, this one's close. Do you feel anything? Like it's just about to...
Right there.
It's just about to... Here, okay. Now where is it? I gotta find it. I'm starting to feel it. So where is it?
I can blow this way. I can blow smoke from my mouth. Blowing.
Oh, so we're getting
cold.
It's cold temperature. Come up with me here.
I'm calling him over the whole
Come
time.
on. Slow energy.
Stay with us. Stay with us.
Where is he? Come over to this box. If you can come over to this, won't hurt you. Come close. We'll know you're here. Come on.
We're here to be your friend.
Come on.
Oh, it's right there. It's
I know.
right
He's
there.
just. And yeah, he did feel energy, just for a bit, but then. Come on. Dowsing's been around for thousands of years, and some people use it for water, finding water, and it's also good for this kind of a communication. It's primitive, but sometimes you get some really good results from it. Are you a male? Are you a male? No. Okay. Are you a female? Are you a female? Huh? She's right over me? Okay. Yes, female. Are you the female that was in the tent? Are you the female that was in my tent? Yes. Okay. Because that's what we got in the tent, was a female. All right.
Is the same spirit answering every question?
Yes. I can tell it's the same one by the way the rods are working.
Does everyone who's with you not want us here?
Yes.
Oh my God. Now I'm scared. It's the devil's tramping ground, the Chatham natives say, and the story is that the devil goes there to walk in circles as he thinks up new means of causing trouble for humanity. There, sometime during the dark of night, the majesty of the underworld of evil silently tramps around and around that bare circle. thinking, plotting, and planning against good and in behalf of wrong. So far as is known, no person has ever spent the night there to disprove that this is what happens and this is what keeps grass, weeds, and other...
Get your shoes off, I'm seeing.
What's going on, guys?
It sounds like we're being surrounded, like there's footsteps. Like, I think it's the water dropping because it just finished raining, but it really sounds like...
That was a crack.
It sounds like there's people walking around us, or there's something walking around us.
Right before the fire went out, I lit the lantern, and so we had the propane noise going. I was like, whew, and suddenly it just started to get really noisy all around us. So I turned the fucking thing off, and there was noise. It sounded like 30 people were in the woods around us, walking through the woods, like getting closer and closer. It was ridiculous.
Completely quiet now compared to what it was.
Yeah.
The devil didn't show up. That's one conclusion. Did we or did we not have real spirit paranormal activity?
Do you feel like we saw any spirits or communicated with spirits last night?
I definitely think we communicated with some.
How about you, Laura? You see anything?
Nope.
No, we didn't. We thought we heard somebody behind us, and then there was nothing. We heard a lot of zipping, and then there was nothing.
We turned off all the lanterns, and suddenly, it really did sound like the entire woods went. But it makes sense because we're in a big circle and we're surrounded by woods.
Sometimes just your eyes and your ears can play tricks on you. You sort of start to hear things that aren't really there.
When my papa was a little boy, there was a beast that hurt animals and killed animals. He had really sharp teeth and he'd like a cat.
They got a picture or something and it really looks close to a coyote or panther.
Big and hairy and has big teeth. Maybe like close to a cheetah.
It was like a big bobcat, like mostly like a panther with big teeth.
We're riding down the highway and then they saw it looked like a white panther with red eyes. And he went out in the night and come signs. He killed the animals all over the place. He eats up dogs and sucks their blood.
They called it a vampire beast because it always went through the neck, and whenever they found it, it's like there's no blood left in it.
Well, I've thought a few times I've seen you. like at night, I keep seeing big eyes and stuff.
She heard her bikes rustling out on the porch. So she went up to her older brothers, and they were like 20 and 30. So whenever they did that, they went outside the next morning and they found their bikes like crushed all together. And there's like no marks on the porch, no claw prints.
They said a long time ago, back in one of the cabins that when Bladenboro was first becoming, that some girl was attacked by it, and they said she screamed, and when they came, there was just marks, and it looked about like that, and it looked like a dog mark, but it looked more of a panther mark, but they never found her again.
Black. Her name was Lucy, Black Labrador. It was like whenever I was 5, whenever I went out there to go feed her, there was some kind of black figure in the bushes, which I thought was one of my cats. Yeah, that's what I thought was. Then whenever I went up there to my dog, it was just, I thought it was just laying in the doghouse, but it was actually dead. It had 2 marks right there. It was like no drops of blood in the doghouse.
A little bit scared.
Why?
Because he could eat your blood, suck your blood out.
Y'all actually play a game called Airsoft. It's like with BB guns. And we go back in the woods and play, but I don't think the beast is real, but if it is, I surely don't want to meet it while we're back there playing, because that would be just not too good.
And I tried to fight because I know it would outrun me and it would outclimb me.
If it came at me and I had some bullets and I had a gun, it'd probably get hurt.
Yeah, you'd be the most hated person if you shot the beast of her.
Nothing afraid of. Is that something precious?
History is fascinating, really. It's the greatest story there is.
When you're out farming, you don't know the time's going by. You don't see other people, you know, so you're all by yourself. No, I've been very lucky, really. The Army was good to me and kept me healthy. And, of course, the good Lord, we go to church every Sunday and a few other days after that, and that helps a lot. And unfortunately, my wife didn't make it, but it certainly helps keep one going. And you just don't think about it. It's one day at a time. This is what you got to do today, and you go do it. Army friends have we get together occasionally. We're all close together, and so it's just, I don't know, basically lucky, I guess. The genes are good. In Randolph County, we have a very active honor guard, that we call it, to do the funerals for veterans. And we do about 500 funerals a year. And we provide rifle firing, we provide the flag folding, and the bugle. And those 3 events, if anybody wants them. So we've done as many as 5 funerals a day. But the person has served their country, and that's most important, and they deserve the honors. one of my claims to fame, I guess. They did an article in Time magazine when we were training at West Point. And I was quoted as saying, I don't remember saying it, but it was quoted as saying, the pentathlon is the true test of a man. Because you had 5 sports that all the different things. You have to have ice in your veins when you shoot, but you got to have all ginned up when you're fencing and so forth. So that's why we call it the true test of a man. Then the Korean War being on, the question was, do I go off, since I'm an Army officer, do I go off and fight a war, which was what I was trained to do. But since they asked me to stay, I did. And I recruited and put together the team, and the coaches ended up competing as well as coaching on the thing. This is in the summer of 1951. The games are in 52. We didn't have much to go on. And a couple of people that had been in the 48 team were wounded or killed in Korea. So what I did is I recruited a bunch of second lieutenants from West Point that just graduated that were good athletes, and then we'd go around to various Army events and try to recruit people and put out the word, really, to all the services to come try out. I trained longer than anybody else, and I had trained not even 2 years. But we got to remember, though, that this was after the war, and there wasn't the organization among athletes. One of our team members was a swimmer down at Raritan Arsenal. He was pretty good. So I encouraged him to come up and try out. Well, he came up, knocked on the door one day. The other fellow who had been on the planet was a truck man. And I told him to take him out and see if he could run. Well, it turned out that he could run almost as fast as the fellow who was checking him out. So we immediately signed him up. And between September and July, he trained enough to make the team, which is amazing because we were competing against people that had trained 2 and 3 or 4 years. We all felt that we had trained, given the time that we had reached about as good as we could be. There wasn't a hell of a lot we could do that we hadn't done already. The Russians had never competed in the pentathlon. They hadn't competed in the Olympics. But they were going to compete in 1952. And nobody knew what they were like. They were down riding the horses. So I said to my team, I said, let's go eat them. So we all walked down to where they were training their horses and watched them ride. And in those days, they had the old commissar with double-breasted coaches watching and so forth. When they finished riding, I said, okay, let's go. So we went right over and shook their hands. And this is the first time any American athlete had talked to any Russian athlete anywhere, even not just the pentathlon. And the old Russian officials that were standing back, they were kind of aghast. They didn't know what to say with all that's going on with these horrible Americans. But anyway.
This is The Big Picture, an official television report to the nation from the United States Army. Now, to show you part of the big picture, here is Sergeant Stuart Queen.
Every 4 years, an event of breathtaking excitement, color, and pageantry takes place in the world of sports. The greatest of all athletic competitions, the Olympic Games. In 1952, American athletes performed magnificently in competition, achieving the final victory in the unofficial team standings. Contributing greatly to that victory were 80 men of our armed forces. Here, released for the first time on The Big Picture, is the story of our armed forces athletes in one of the most closely contested Olympiads of all time.
A third event in the pentathlon will be pistol shooting at 25 meters. The Americans clean their weapons before practice. Like our military entrants in boxing, track, and basketball, they were chosen in hotly contested all-Army competitions. They then had 60 days of special training at West Point under Lieutenant Gale F. Wilson, their coach. The pentathlon squad lines up on the pistol range. Captain Guy Troy of Pasagrille, Florida.
The big show for the Army, the wind-up of the all-military pentathlon with competitions in cross-country and swimming, the fencing, pistol, and cavalry contests having already been decided. The men run against a stopwatch rather than against each other, leaving at 1-minute intervals. The pentathlon arouses keen interest among Army men of the various nations. Off to a fast start is Captain Guy Troy, another West Pointer whose sports were lacrosse, track, and fencing. And now, Troy. Hitting the water nearest the camera is Captain Troy, already a high scorer in riding and shooting. Alongside him swims a red-capped Russian. By some quirk, although many lanes were used in these time trials, the Russian and American entries always wound up next to each other.
After the games, I went back to being a soldier and eventually ended up stationed in Vienna, Austria. And since I was in Europe, I was put on the first technical committee that the International Federation had. You help develop the sports, and you have your input as to how the sport should be judged and conducted. It's a TV world. And so we changed the events so that it's all in one day, so that you don't have to wait 5 days to see who won. It's much improved, and it saved the sport, because we would not be in the Olympic Games if we had kept it at 5 days. The judges for the Olympics were selected from the technical committee. So I ended up being on a jury d'appel, which is a judge, in 4 of the games. The last one was in Los Angeles in '84. Yeah, that was my last part of the Olympics. Yeah, last one I went to. Yeah, and right now I'm working with the committee to put up the Liberty Veterans Memorial and Gardens. The gardens will be all around, and then here we're going to have a pavilion where people can come and picnic and enjoy the community amid the Veterans Memorial. And we hope to have it funded within a year. There's never something not to do, I tell you. I wish we'd run out of things to do, but